The cafe smelled like roasted coffee beans and cinnamon sugar, warm and comforting, the kind of place where love stories were supposed to begin. Emma stood outside the glass door for a full 30 seconds before stepping in. Inside, laughter clinked against ceramic cups. A couple near the window leaned into each other, hands touching across the table. A college student typed furiously on her laptop. Life was moving forward for everyone. Everyone except her. She adjusted the sleeve of her soft blue sweater and spotted him immediately. Mark. He was seated in the corner booth, sunlight catching in his dark hair, nervously tapping his fingers against a menu. He looked up at the sound of the door opening, and when his eyes found hers, he smiled. It was warm, real. Emma forced her feet to move. "Hi," she said softly as she reached the table. "Hi." Mark stood, almost knocking his knee against the table in the process. "I'm really glad you came." She sat down carefully, smoothing her skirt as though that small action could smooth the storm inside her chest. "So," he said, clearing his throat. "How was your day?" "Busy," she replied automatically. "Work, laundry," pretending I'm not terrified of blind dates. He chuckled, grateful for the honesty. "That makes two of us." A waiter approached. They ordered coffee. Silence fell between them, not heavy, just fragile. Emma stared into her empty mug as though it could offer answers. She hadn't dated in 3 years. 3 years of watching friends get engaged, married, pregnant. 3 years of awkward setups that ended with polite texts that said, "You're great, but." 3 years of wondering what exactly was wrong with her. Mark was saying something about his job, architecture, city projects, something about restoring old buildings. She nodded, trying to focus. But her mind betrayed her. He's just being polite. He'll see it soon. They all do. Mark noticed the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. Emma inhaled sharply before she could stop herself. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. I'm not very good at this. At coffee. At being someone worth choosing." The words slipped out before she could catch them. Mark's expression softened. "What do you mean?" She let out a small laugh, the kind that tries to disguise a wound. "I mean, no one wants to date me." There it was. Raw. Unfiltered. The cafe noise faded into the background. For a moment, it felt like she had just confessed something forbidden. Mark blinked. "That's not true," he said immediately. She shrugged. "It kind of is. I'm 32. I've had one serious relationship." He left because he said I was too quiet. Before him, it was too emotional. Before that, not ambitious enough. She gave a half smile. "I'm starting to think I'm just too much of the wrong things." Mark leaned forward slightly. "Or maybe you just haven't met the right person." She opened her mouth to argue. But before she could speak, the cafe door burst open. 3 small whirlwinds of energy tumbled inside. "Daddy." Mark froze. Emma turned toward the commotion. 3 identical girls, about 7 years old, rushed toward their table, pink backpacks bouncing against their shoulders. "Daddy, Aunt Sarah said we could surprise you. You didn't tell us you were on a date." "Is she the date?" Emma's heart stopped. Mark's face turned a shade of red she hadn't seen before. "Girls," he said carefully. "We talked about surprises. But you like surprises." One of them insisted. The other 2 were already studying Emma with open curiosity. Emma blinked. "You have children?" she asked. Mark exhaled. "Triplets." All 3 girls waved at the same time. "Hi." Emma felt something shift inside her, not rejection, not panic, something softer. "Oh," she said quietly. "Hi." The boldest of the 3 slid into the booth beside Mark without invitation. The other 2 squeezed in next to Emma before she could protest. The booth suddenly felt smaller. And warmer. "I'm Lily," said the girl on Mark's left. "I'm Lucy," said the one across from her. "And I'm Layla," announced the third, practically bouncing. Emma couldn't help it. She smiled. "I'm Emma." They stared at her as if evaluating her for something important. Mark rubbed his forehead. "I'm so sorry. I thought they were at my sister's house." "We were," Lucy said proudly. "But Aunt Sarah said if we finished our homework, we could come see you." "And we finished it really fast," Lily added. Layla leaned closer to Emma. "Are you nervous?" Emma laughed softly. "A little." Layla nodded solemnly. "That's okay. Daddy gets nervous too." "Layla," Mark warned gently. "What?" "It's true." Emma looked at Mark. He looked both embarrassed and amused. "I do," he admitted. The waiter returned with their coffee, and 3 unexpected hot chocolates. "On the house," the waiter said with a grin. "They convinced me." Mark sighed. "I'm outnumbered." The girls giggled. For a moment, Emma forgot about her earlier confession. The girls began asking questions rapid fire. "Do you like dogs? What's your favorite color? Can you braid hair? Do you know how to make pancakes shaped like animals? Emma blinked at the intensity. Yes. Blue. I think so. And I've never tried animal pancakes, but I'm willing to learn. The girls gasped as if she had just passed a critical test. Lucy leaned toward Lily and whispered loudly, I like her. Emma pretended not to hear, but warmth bloomed in her chest. Mark watched the interaction quietly. Something about the way Emma answered, patient, gentle, genuinely amused, made his heart settle. He had gone on dates before. Some women smiled at his daughters politely. Some were clearly uncomfortable. Some tried too hard. But Emma, she wasn't performing. She was present. Layla suddenly reached across the table and took Emma's hand. You're pretty, she said matter-of-factly. Emma's breath caught. No one had said that to her in a long time. Thank you, she whispered. Lucy tilted her head. Why did you say no one wants to date you? Emma froze. Mark shot Lucy a look. But Lucy just shrugged. We heard you. Emma felt heat creep up her neck. It's complicated. Lily frowned. You seem nice. Layla nodded. Really nice. Lucy crossed her arms in a serious pose. If someone doesn't want to date you, they're probably silly. Emma laughed through sudden, unexpected tears. Silly. She repeated. Very silly, Layla confirmed. Mark watched her carefully. The earlier sadness in her eyes had shifted. Not vanished, but softened. Emma looked at the three girls surrounding her. Children didn't overanalyze. They didn't measure worth in checklists or timelines. They saw how someone made them feel. And right now, they were choosing her. Without hesitation, Mark cleared his throat. Girls, maybe we should give Emma and me a minute. Lucy shook her head firmly. We're helping. Emma laughed again. Helping. Yes, Lily said seriously. Daddy needs someone who smiles like that. Emma's heart stuttered. Mark's gaze met hers. There was vulnerability there. Hope. Girls, he said softly. That's enough. But Emma squeezed Layla's hand gently. It's okay. She turned to the girls. Can I tell you something? They nodded eagerly. Sometimes grown-ups forget that they're lovable. We start thinking we're not enough because things don't work out. Lucy frowned. That's silly. Emma smiled. Maybe it is. Layla leaned against her shoulder as if it were the most natural thing in the world. You can sit with us. She said. We like you. The simplicity of it broke something open inside Emma. Not in a painful way. In a healing way. She looked at Mark. I didn't know you had triplets. I usually mention it earlier, he admitted sheepishly. I didn't want it to scare you off. Emma glanced at the girls, now arguing about who got the last marshmallow. They're not scary. They can be, he said under his breath. She smiled. I think they're wonderful. The girls looked up instantly. We are? Lucy asked. Absolutely. Mark leaned back, watching the scene unfold. The sunlight shifted, wrapping the booth in golden warmth. Emma didn't feel like the woman who had walked in 30 minutes ago. The woman who believed she was unwanted. She felt seen. Chosen, not just by a man across the table, but by three small hearts who had no reason to pretend. Lucy suddenly slid a napkin toward Emma. Draw something, she demanded. Emma raised an eyebrow. What should I draw? Our family, Layla said without hesitation. The word hung in the air. Family. Emma hesitated. Mark's breath caught slightly. But Lucy was already handing her a pen. Emma looked at the blank napkin. Then she began to draw. 4 stick figures first, Mark and the 3 girls. Then she paused. The girls watched closely. Slowly, carefully, she added a 5th figure. Smaller than Mark. Standing beside him, holding hands. She slid the napkin back. The girls gasped dramatically. She added herself. Lily squealed. Emma covered her face playfully. Well, you told me to draw a family. Mark looked at the napkin. At the 5th figure. At Emma. Emotion flickered across his face, something tender and unguarded. Lucy grinned triumphantly. See, not silly. Emma met Mark's eyes. I guess maybe, she said quietly, I just needed to meet the right people. Mark's voice was gentle. And maybe they needed to meet you. The girls raised their hot chocolate cups like a toast. To not being silly. Emma laughed fully now. The kind of laugh that comes from relief. From hope. From the sudden realization that maybe she had been wrong about herself all along. Outside, the world continued as usual. Cars passed. People hurried by. But inside that cafe booth, something shifted permanently. Emma had walked in believing she was unchosen. Unwanted. Invisible. But 3 little girls had seen her. And in their simple, fearless way, they had decided she belonged. Mark reached across the table, slowly, giving her space. She didn't hesitate this time. She placed her hand in his. And for the first time in years, Emma didn't feel like, too much, or, not enough. She just felt, Right. Surrounded by giggles, sticky marshmallow fingers, and the beginning of something she had almost convinced herself she'd never have. Sometimes love doesn't arrive quietly between two adults. Sometimes it bursts through a cafe door in matching backpacks and reminds you that you were worthy all along.